Theosophy and tape recorders. Well, tape recorders are actually old hat by modern standards. They're a fairly basic item, and from the days of the old reel-to-reel and cassette tape recorder, technology has moved on exponentially. But tape recorders in their day were quite a significant innovation in Theosophy, and they had a rather slow start. Now, the story of Cardiff Theosophical Society and its first tape recorder, I've gleaned this from the recollection of the late Charles James, and who was the leading light in Welsh Theosophy for the second half of the 20th century, and also from the Cardiff Theosophical Society Committee meeting notes. Well, this all began in 1954. Bristol Theosophist John Whiting came in his car from Bristol. Now he'd have to come through Gloucester, so it would be 50 miles farther to come than it is now at No 7 Bridge, to our old meeting place at Park Place in the centre of Cardiff. He could park there in those days, he'd try it now. Anyway, he arrived at the building, and 4 able-bodied men came out and helped him take this tape recorder into the building like it was the Ark of the Covenant. And Charles James recalls that it wasn't like a suitcase. This was a fairly big, heavy piece of kit. It was more like a small radiogram. It had a wooden case and a big speaker on the front, and it was quite heavy and sort of cumbersome. Anyway, they brought it into the building and it was placed on the table, and John Whiting set it up, and they were ready to go. Now, this was 1954, and the vast majority of members, and includes Charles, had never actually seen a tape recorder before. Now, there was a good turnout for this meeting because people were agog that they could hear a speaker and the speaker wasn't actually there, and that apparently really was something in 1954. Anyway, the meeting went down very well, and there were some very positive comments in the subsequent meeting notes, which I have here. It's recorded as a marked success and a welcome innovation to our programme. So yes, everybody was very impressed. Now, a couple of years later, and this is on the 25th of June 1956, Charles James gave a report on the possibility of purchasing a tape recorder, as it's described here, to record lectures or play those of absent speakers. Now, Charles had been off and done some research, and in 1956, research meant research. He couldn't go on the internet, it hadn't been invented, so he'd actually have to do some legwork, and that meant going around the stores and speaking to the staff and getting some expert opinion and some prices. So all credit to Charles, he put his back into it there. Anyway, he came back to the meeting on the 25th of June, and his findings were as follows. Hiring a machine would be 10 and 6pence, that's 52.5p for an evening, or 1 guinea. A guinea was £1.05. No, £1 and a shilling, sorry, £1 and a shilling. And that would be £1.05 per day. Now, purchase of tapes, and yes, would be the opportunity, even if you hired the machine, to build up a selection of tapes. There were 15 shillings, 75p, or 25 shillings, that's £1.25, depending on the length of the tape. Now, this was the blockbuster. To purchase a machine, and which was a Grundig, the recommended machine, and this would be 51 guineas, which in modern money is £53 and 55 pence. Now, you can buy one for less than that now if it's still on audio tapes. average earnings, as I understand it, in 1956 were £12 a week. So there we are, we're looking at a piece of equipment that would cost 4.5 times the average weekly wage. And I think that must have been a bit of a shock for the committee. Charles said that the price was just, they couldn't consider it at that time. Anyway, not surprisingly, decided to delay the decision to purchase the machine, and Charles was thanked for his effort. Now, it appears that they did hire a tape recorder for meetings, and they certainly hired it for an all-day meeting in 1957. I think that possibly paying a guinea, they would decide we'll have it for the day, make it worth doing. There was certainly a meeting in 1957 at which a tape recorder was used. There may have been others that I've missed, or they didn't bother to record the fact that the meeting was recorded. But anyway, they did hire a tape recorder, but purchase was out of the question. Anyway, Charles James didn't give up on this one. He raised the issue again in 1964, and a fund was set up to purchase a tape recorder. Anyway, they obviously must have raised enough money. By 1968, cassette recorders had come in, and they purchased a cassette recorder, and the cost of that was £30, 19 shillings and sixpence, which in modern money is £30, 97.5 pence. You can still, if you're still on audio tapes, you can still buy one for less than that now. Certainly, you can buy a CD combined with a radio for probably about £16. So the cost there much greater, and average earnings, I think possibly by the late 60s, average earnings might have risen to about £20 a week. Can't be specific on that, but even in 68, although the price had come down, it was still a major capital purchase. So there we are, the history of tape recorders at Cardiff Theosophical Society.